Hey, good Monday to everyone. It is good to see you, and it is good to be seen by you. I, of course, am the one and only Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver, coming to you live on this lovely Monday evening. And how are you? I hope you had an absolutely stellar weekend. I had a pretty good one. I can't complain. We did the Nerd Council of Doom on Saturday. That is the travel and live stream show that myself, Yang and Zhao, and Dungeon Minister all do together, where we recap the month's pop culture insanity for every month. And we have a lot of fun doing it. We had a good audience watching that. And I thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And as I thank everybody for tuning in here. So let me ask you a favor. If you haven't already, would you please and kindly click the subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications. And if you're watching this in the future, um, that is after the video is shown. 10 minutes from now is technically the future. But after the video is shown, you stumble upon this channel and you're like, hey, this is interesting. Leave a comment down below and tell me what you like about it, and I'll do more of it. Or tell me what you didn't like, and I'll do less of it. But regardless, I hope that you will do that. And welcome, one and all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Monday, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a little bit of fun. It's not going to be a big, huge live stream. We're just going to kind of talk about what we've got looking forward, looking ahead. So if you don't know what it is exactly precisely that I do, well, stick around and you may learn a little something before it's done. But what we do here on the show is I try and bring news, views, good thoughts, good ideas, good vibes to the old school tabletop RPG community and the RPG community in general, right? I mean, we are, as they say, all one big happy fleet. So I try and spread that good news around when it comes. And, sometimes the news isn't good news. You can't ignore, you can't make bad things go away by ignoring them. But we can focus on what we can do to make certain things good. And so I live stream about these things. I do little interstitial videos about these things, between the live streams. I just try and bring the best show I can. And a few nights a week, we fill our time by actually playing tabletop role-playing games. And we have a lot of fun doing that. Tomorrow night, we are going to be playing some first edition advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And then we're going to do the same thing on Wednesday night, except my co-host for Wednesday nights, Kyle, the Viking Hat GM, he is going to be running the game on Wednesday night. I'll actually get to play. He is going to be running the game. And then on Friday night, we're going to be playing some Gamma World, and I'm really looking forward to getting into that. So if reviews of classic tabletop RPG products, if discussions of things with a bent towards AD&D, if news about the TTRPG world, if all of that is something that interests you, then please, please, please do consider sticking around, because we have a lot of fun. We have a good audience and we have a good time. So I hope you will consider doing that. Let's see. Robert Phillips, hello. Damien, the Ultra American TTRPGer. Daniel Rowan, FMCS Recon, great old ones. It is good to see everybody here. I am super glad that you all made it. And if you're over there, if you're watching over on the Twitter sphere, or if you're watching here on YouTube, because I can see there's folks out there watching on YouTube, and there's a lot of folks watching over on Twitter. If you haven't said anything, just pop in and say, hey, hi, I'm watching your show and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. And I would really appreciate that, because it feeds my spun glass fragile ego. Let's see. Robert Phillips says, I used to know what it is, then they changed editions on me. Oh boy, yeah. The armor class wars. There's no war. Just the chart is better than anybody else's solutions. You add up, you subtract down. Just use the chart. Just look at the chart. Honestly. If your DM's feeling generous, copy the chart from his DMG for your level. Only changes every couple levels for fighter. Only changes every 5 levels for magic user. Just use the chart. Well, I think if you carry that mindset forward, Ultimate American TTRPGer, I think you'll find less sadness in your life. The chart is correct. Nothing else is. Graph Paper Architect. Hello. Hi. How are you? Odd Scimitar. Greetings. Beside collecting taxes, what are the benefits of owning a keep in AD&D? You've got a reliable home base to store treasure, to house any beloved NPCs. You've got a base of operations to send, like, maybe your DM wants to start a lower level campaign. You can say, okay, well, Sir Frederick was retired. Frederick II is going to adventure forth from his father's keep. And Frederick II doesn't have to worry about the volatility of the banking system of whatever fantasy world you've created, the somewhat sketchy sleeping accommodations. He can simply head back to the homestead as the case requires. So that is, or those are huge benefits. Hello, Orbital Air. Wine and ale sellers, yes. Plus all those expert hirelings, alchemists, sages, people like that. You got a roof over their heads. Just a few things, just a few notes for your campaign. But anyway, so yeah, that is, barring any other breaking news, I dropped a little news video today. We had a little bit of a kerfuffle that came up between Kobold Press and Wizards of the, well, it didn't really, okay. So this was weird, and I didn't even look at the thing, but I still feel kind of passionately about this. This actually kind of hacked me off a little bit. Look, if you criticize something, unless you just got incredibly wrong on critical facts, like if I said, I don't like the new Dungeon Master's Guide because every page is colored purple and has black text on it and it's nearly impossible to read. Well, that's factually incorrect. Someone should call me on the carpet about that. But folks, I'm here to tell you, if I break it down and I line item the things in the book that I don't like, that I think I've done better than, that is a legitimate criticism. I don't care where it's coming from. I don't care if you're the people who created Fatal. I don't care if you're comparing Realm of Yomi to Traveler. I don't care if you're comparing, I don't know, first edition AD&D to Dragons of Under-Earth. If you defend your points, even if it's wrong, your criticism is valid. And I don't think it is ever the purview of a publisher to step back and say, it was wrong of me to criticize. Folks, it's not wrong for you to ever criticize something. It's not wrong to do that. If your opinions are based on subjective matter, then saying that your subjective opinion is correct is not incorrect. If you come into my studio and you say, I don't like your studio because of the shade blue that the walls are, that is objectively incorrect. That is an incorrect criticism. Your studio would be better if your walls were a different shade of blue. My walls aren't blue here in the studio. They're white. If you came in and said, this shade of white, you should go to more towards an eggshell or a cirrus cloud white or an off-white, you're entitled to that opinion. To register an opinion on something, to critique something, to give a valid critique, a valid grounded subjective critique, there is nothing wrong with it. I shouldn't have criticized that. Why? Anyone is in their right. If someone criticizes my show in the comments, I have only ever removed 3 posts under YouTube comments. I've only ever removed 3. 2 were from someone who is trolling, making borderline racist comments. And 1 was from someone who was literally just seeking to incorrectly paint me in a certain way. Wasn't their subjective opinion. And that's it. That's it. For a lot of people, 100 minutes is the perfect length of a film. If I go in and I watch a movie and I come home and I write a review of it and I say, that movie was too short, and then I later post a retraction and I say, my opinion was wrong, I'm not going to do that again. I mean, that's just, do you weaken so much yourself, this community, any creative community, any community period's ability to withstand a little bit of criticism. A factually valid yet subjectively based opinion is never wrong to share. And it's absolutely positive. I was saying in the video today, when Apple introduced the Macintosh in 1984, which, by the way, was not their first GUI computer. That was the Apple Lisa 3 years prior. 1981, the Apple Lisa. But when Apple introduced the Macintosh, they had the lady, she runs in through the dystopian scenery, all directed by Ridley Scott. She runs into the Big Brother 2 minutes hate chamber. She throws a sledgehammer, and the announcer says, on January 23rd, Apple will introduce Macintosh, and you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984. The implication being, because the woman is wearing a stylized Macintosh drawing on her shirt, that anyone else who uses an IBM PC, a PDP, even 8-bit machines, that they're all narrow-minded, that IBM, Bill Gates, Big Brother up there, that they're the enemy. That's a valid criticism. That's a valid critique nested in artwork. A beautiful piece of art, I might add. I'm not a fan of the Macintosh, but that's a damn fine film Ridley Scott put together as a commercial. There is every example throughout history of companies directly pointing at their competitors' products and critiquing them and saying, ours are better, here's why. Watch a pickup truck commercial. If you watch college football, if you watch pro football, if you watch baseball, basketball, there will be vehicle commercials, and particularly if they are of utility type, not sports utility, they will tell you, our pickup trucks are better than Chevy, here's why. Our pickup trucks are better than Ford, here's why. Our pickup trucks are better than Toyota, here's why. Our pickup trucks are better than Nissan, here's why. On and on and on and on. Companies do it all the time. They don't wait for Motor Trend. Apple didn't wait for Information Week or Creative Computing. Commodore used to make wonderful ads comparing to the Apple II, and the IBM PC and the IBM PC Junior. And they would list the prices, they would list the features, they'd list what you got for the money versus what it would cost you for their competitors. It was a valid critique. Now, Apple might then come back and say, yes, but you don't have expansion slots. You can expand the Apple. What can you do with a C64? Plug in an exceptionally slow hard drive and one cartridge. And that would have been a valid critique too. Hey, Snake Oil Sean. Or hey, Uribe, good to see you. There's backing down from your critique, particularly when your critique is of the company. Guys, I can't believe. Now, I know you all are perfectly aware of this. Everyone in the audience, 180 you guys watching right now. That's, 30, 40 you here on YouTube? No, that's only about 18 of you here on YouTube, but that's 90 some of you over on Twitter. There shouldn't have to cover this, but just in case, just about 2 years ago, call it 22 months, Wizards of the Coast was trying to choke the life out of its competition with its OGL revision. There were two companies that were big enough, two companies that were big enough to get Godzilla stomped by Wizards of the Coast with their whole, if you make more money than this, we're going to want a piece of it provision in their revised open gaming license. One of them was Cobalt. Now, I do not pretend to speak for Wolfgang Bauer. I don't know the gentleman. He could be a fine guy. I'm not casting aspersions. However, if I may critique, if I were in Wolfgang Bauer's shoes, I would take every opportunity to tell people why my product was better than that of Wizards of the Coast. I would want you to purchase my products instead of Wizards of the Coast's. Even coming down to a tweaked 5e rule set, I would want you to use it and not what Wizards of the Coast sold. I would take every I would go to every convention. I would do every podcast. I would do every live stream. I would make social media posts. I would make it my job if I wasn't actually sitting there designing stuff. During the minutes when I wasn't doing that, sleeping or having family time, I would be out there telling people why my stuff is better than Wizards of the Coast. And if it came down to it, yes, I would do a line item critique. Maybe lime flavored too. I would never let up on those people. I would never let up. Now, I want you to consider this. They just backed off criticism of Wizards of the Coast. We're sorry. We're going to leave criticism to critics. And I talked about this a little bit. Wave of mutilation. Hello. I talked about this a little bit in the video. Cobalt Press was one of the companies that was talking about, oh, we're gonna do our own open license. You can develop for, our games. We're gonna have an actual open. Lots of companies have done that. Now, if they're backing off of Wizards of the Coast, how much confidence do you now have in that? Because it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. I mean, you do what you will, but it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. And I think, I think what Michael Connor just said, they just gave them a license of the month to never stop harassing them. It's absolutely true. And I don't think it was Cobalt Press fans either. I think Cobalt Press fans were probably very disappointed that they backed off. I think it was WotC stands. He was WotC shells. And they did just give them license to never stop harassing them. Ever. Because the next time they do it, that same bunch is going to say, hey, we can push on them and we can stop them. And one thing, Wizards of the Coast has proven time and again, they are utterly ruthless when it comes to matters of self-defense. Utterly ruthless. They shut down a small YouTuber. I don't just mean didn't get a cease and desist letter, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can dig down in my videos. I did a lot of videos on it. Pinkertons sent, or Wizards of the Coast has an internal security employee. He used to work for the Pinkertons. Wizards of the Coast sent the Pinkertons. If you don't know who they are, they're a private detective agency. They have just for the sake of not getting dinged by YouTube, checkered past, let us say, over the almost 200 years they've been in existence. They sent the Pinkertons after a small YouTuber because his FLGS broke street date and sold him materials before they were supposed to be released. And he did a little video about him. And they strong-armed that man. I don't think his channel is still up anymore. I think he took it down. I mean, the video was gone before I could get to it and before I could archive it. But now I think his old channel's gone. So they have proven that they will use ugly, strong-arm lawfare to get their way. So I think, with all respect, because again, this is not a personal attack. Okay, I want to make that 100% clear. I mean, Wolfgang Bauer, the people at Cobalt, probably people I could have a beer with, play some D&D with, hang out with, talk to. But respectfully, I think they did a disservice by backing down off their criticism of Wizards of the Coast. If it was based in fact, and it was line item critique of the things they didn't like and the things they thought they did better, then that's perfectly acceptable. And the people over on arguably the third worst site for discussing pen and paper RPGs, EN World, who were saying, oh, that's not a good look. That's bad form. And the hell with you. Biggest bunch of Wizards of the Coast simps, not actually on Wizards of the Coast's own forums. Take care, GPA. Have a lovely evening. And none of this has anything to do with editions or you play 5e or anything like that. So I'm not edition warring. I'm not throwing shade in anybody for doing what they want to do unless what you're doing is simping for Wizards of the Coast once again in this nonsense. Now, you might say, but Bill, what's wrong with leaving the criticism to critics? I don't know if you guys have paid attention to the state of video games right now. A lot of us don't care about video games. Or if we do, they're old games. But a lot of people do. But I don't know if you know what the state of video game critique is right now. It's bad. It's bad. Video game critique has been propping up so much garbage. Video game critique has been dragged, and rightly so. I'm not going to give you guys a lesson in what's been going on over the last decade. But it used to be you could go to the newsstand and you could grab a copy of PC Gamer, or you could look at a Web 1.0 website, and you could get a pretty fair video game review. That went away sometime in the mid-early 2000s. And that has caused a whole lot of problems. The same companies, the same media outlets, Kotaku, PC Gamer, just to name a couple, The Hollywood Reporter even, all of a sudden you start to see mentions of TTRPGs. If the cancer that infected video games began with dishonest video game criticism, and I personally believe it did, has almost killed that hobby. If these same people are the ones that are left to critique things, it's going to be some unpleasant times. So taking the stance, we're going to leave the criticism to the critics. Who? To Kotaku? To PC Gamer? The critics? People who have shown themselves to be maybe not as beneficial? So I take the stance that you can't do that. You can't back off of something if you have a valid criticism. We don't live in a time now where, unless you can get published in a magazine or appear on G4 TV or on MTV or in a newspaper, that your voice won't be heard. Quite the contrary. It's 180 degrees around from that. I'll critique things. Any one of you out there, you carry a supercomputer in your pocket. Multi-core CPU, gobs of memory, high definition camera, ultra high speed network connection, tons of storage, access to every other computer network in the world if you want. There's no reason you can't turn it around and say, this product sucks. This product rocks. You have as much right to do that and to say that and to present your ideas as somebody owned by Vox Media, Embracer, or whoever. And that includes the creators, the publishers. If you look at your competition and say, that sucks, and here's why I think it sucks, and here's why I think mine is better, stand by that. Don't cuck out. That's all I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about that. You guys can watch the video. The short video is just down there. You can click on it and watch it. Exactly, Instant Charlie. Exactly. Hello, Kabuki. Jay Tyler. Snake Oil Sean. I think I already said hey to you, but hello again. Savage Brewski. Hello. Vinny. Robert Turner, good to see you. I'm sharpening my Volge. But anyway, so barring anything, oh, and Wheeling Dragon, hello. Hi, how are you? Barring anything as far as this situation developing, that's really all I have to say on the subject. And this may be one of those things like Pinkerton Gate or Magic Gate, whatever gate you want to apply to it. The OGL debacle, the Christmas layoffs, the stocks tanking, the AI scandals, the inviting and gaslighting up the influencers, the deleting Jeff Easley's name off the art. Did I miss anything from 2023? Barring any conditions on this happening like that, that's all I've said about it. That's all I've said about it. Boone Flyer says, I, for one, totally trust our gaming critic overlords. Boone Flyer's gotten the implant back there already, I see. So, one thing I can tell you guys is, yeah, but that was this year. I was just thinking of 2023 alone, Robert. There's free discussion and respecting it here. There is only one thing I consider there's two things I consider toxic to the point that I don't want to ever bring them up here. Politics. I don't want to hear about it either way. And personal toxicity, parasocial toxicity. I can't have that. I was always more of a Volksglaive man myself. I gave you your own containment area, Kabuki. Stay in it. Thank you, Jay Tyler. I appreciate that, brother. I have not looked at it yet, Odd Scimitar. Let me tell you guys what I'm going to be doing. This is Savage Brewski. You got it right. Religion, Politics, and the Great Pumpkin. I am going for the sake. Now, let me tell you guys something. I have owned a copy of every form of Dungeons and Dragons except for 4th edition. And I may have had some 4E books in with some lots that I flipped, basically. Got a bunch of stuff, cataloged the stuff, sold the stuff. I have original D&D. I have Holmes Introductory. I have Moldvay and Cook Basic. I have had Menser Basic. And what is there was one of the turquoise later, I think, companion sets or something like that. I had like one book out of the companion sets. It just came in with a load of RPG trash. first edition AD&D. Currently sitting on a shelf in the back of the house right now. There is a 2E Dungeon Master's Guide and Player's Handbook and set of monster cards. Enough stuff to play second edition AD&D with. You could run a game of 2E AD&D. I had tons of third edition. Like I said, I don't know if I had any fourth edition. And I had 3 linear feet of fifth edition. The third, fourth, and fifth stuff I did not buy. No, I've never had any Pathfinder before you guys ask. I just said, oh, I think I have Spycraft, but I don't. Was that a money game or was that a Wizards of the Coast D20 thing? That's right, Jack. I have a ton of Jack Photon books that you will get when you pry from my cold dead hands. Doc Flamingo, good to see you. As I was just saying, valid criticism is necessary. Valid criticism is necessary. But the key word is valid. I read a lot of 4E, friends' books, enough to know that I didn't like it. Played a ton of third and third and a half edition. Played a little bit of 5E. Looking at something and saying, oh, that sucks. Well, how do you know? Because it's new. I don't like those writers. That's not the move. So I want to answer the question about Greyhawk. I am not interested in 6th edition from a playability standpoint. I don't care about it. I am going to acquire a physical 6th edition Dungeon Master's Guide and look through it and probably get the PDF with it. So that I can line item critique the Greyhawk content and then bring that to you guys probably in a standalone video. I'm not going to do a deep dive on it. See you around, great old ones. That is a duty I have as someone who wishes to give a critique. I don't consider myself a critic so much as a influencer. But I'm going to do that so that I can have an accurate picture of what I like and what I don't like. Maybe there's a gem hidden in there. Maybe there is. Maybe there's something that I never thought about. Now, I mentioned the other night, I'm not a fan of advancing the timeline just for the sake of change. But I will see what they've done with it. But I'm going to do it valid. People are like, why don't you just pirate it? So I don't do that. And if my neighbor's out there and he's got his base machine car going on a Saturday, I'm not going to go over there Saturday night and just because I don't like him, steal his car. I have no problem with my neighbor, and they don't do that, but you pick up what I'm saying. So, you know, that's that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make for you guys. And that's not a cheap book either. I'm going to look at what they did and I'm going to cross compare it. Okay, you're talking about the City of Greyhawk. How does that compare with Gary's? You know, did they stick to Gary's vision closely enough? Or do they completely go off the rails? You know, the City of Greyhawk is populated strictly by tieflings and Eladrin now, you know. I mean, I think you guys know me well enough to know that if I do this, it's not like I'm going to come back and say, hey, guys, guess what? This is an all 6E channel now, all 6E all the time. I will set your house on fire, Kabuki Kid. We'll find where you live. And I just cackle like a madman running around with a torch in Minecraft. Half tieflings. But anyhow, so that's what's going on. But that may be a little bit. That may be just a little bit. I don't know when exactly. It won't be long. It won't be. It may be one of the last things I do before December, because come December, there's only going to be 4 live streams. There's only going to be 4 live streams at most. I still haven't decided. So in yeah, an empty space seed pod. So in December, we're having a gift giveaway. I'm not sure if I'm going to do like a live stream once a week. I think probably the way I'm going to do it is there's going to be a live stream once a week. And I'll spin a wheel or roll a die, depending on who's there. And you'll have to say, yes, I want a chance to get this item. I'm not going to tell you what it is before I do it. The items are all going to have roughly the same price. I have 2 of them picked out. I need to figure out the other 2. They're not all, one of them is role-playing game related. One of them is not role-playing game related. They're just fun toys for Christmas. And no, it's not going to be it's not going to be a 3D print, you know, something made out of smelly resin. It'll actually be something store-bought. So here's how you're going to do. Here's how you're going to do. I will put up a little bit in advance. I'll announce it on the Discord. I'll post it on Facebook. I'll post it on Twitter. Hey, I'm going live in a little bit. And, oh, sorry, Wonderful Wizard of Games. And then the way we will do it is I'll ramble for a little bit, and then at like the bottom of the hour, I'll say, everybody interested in today's drawing, say so. I may have to have some help. And I'll get everyone's names. put them in a list, and I will use an on-screen die roller that I will share out on the screen. You guys will see the die roll. You guys will see the list. That person will get it. That person will get the item in question. If you're overseas, it's going to take me a while to get you your gift. Overseas shipping is bonkers, but I will do my damnedest. I am promising nobody their Christmas presents before Christmas, unless you're in the United States. If you just happen to be in Central Florida, I could probably meet you somewhere and hand it to you. So, that will be 4 Christmas presents. Or the other thing I'm thinking about doing is just one live stream, and then we do 4 drawings on Christmas night, me and Mrs. the Dungeon Delver. Have her sitting in with me, so I know you guys like that. And then we'll just do we'll just do 4 drawings at once. I don't know which we're going to do, but I'm going to decide on it. And speaking of giveaways, again, because people have asked me lately, back to Touchberry Dungeon Minister. Maybe you can timestamp that at 52, or almost at exactly 52 minutes, and you can play that back for him later. But the D&D giveaway is still happening, and I still haven't decided. That's a lot of weight on my shoulders. I do want to mention, I mentioned this earlier in the show. I have a set of Monster Encounter cards. The box is beat up. The cards are still inside of it in the shrink wrap block. They've never been opened. A player's handbook and a Dungeon Master's Guide for 2nd edition. Likewise, I will be those away. I will be giving those away. So if you know someone who wants to play 2E, or maybe you do, and you don't have the means, and you're not gonna have the means, you have too many bills to pay, you're up to here in quicksand, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. You don't have the physical books. You can't even afford the PDFs. You don't have to spell out everything that's going wrong in your life. Just give me some indication of the situation you're in, and we'll do I'll do the same thing with those. I'll find a good home amongst you for that. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Because I'm never going to play 2E, and somebody out there might. These are right proper clapped up bucks, though. I'm sorry, no, there's no adventure modules or anything like that with it. It's just a DMG, a PHB, and the Monster Encounter cards. I don't even know what like, by example, what the cards look like, but that's enough to play a 2E game with. Six Gun Symphony says, how about an episode on miniatures? We've talked a lot about miniatures, Six Gun Symphony. What specifically do you want to talk about with miniatures? You let me know. Sorry, I was just looking to see if I had a certain book here. And I don't. Painting tips. I can certainly come back and talk painting tips one of these days, Six Gun. That's more of a thing I would have to move to like out there on the table to show off and have kind of a different setup. But I could certainly conceivably do that for you guys if that's something y'all wanted. I could certainly talk about my painting tips. My painting tips are slop, but they work for tabletop quality. I mean, honestly, I can tell you right now. I mean, we're kind of coming up on the top of the hour when I'm probably going to be wrapping up here soon. But yeah, I can tell you what they are. Basically, you prime in a solid color, white or black or gray. Doesn't really matter. A thin coat. Wash your primer on. Thin your primer and wash it on. All right. Don't like gunk up the model with primer, because you'll fill in details. For God's sake, don't get auto body primer. If you ever want to strip the Mini, man, you gotta get like if it's metal, you're gonna need like aircraft stripper or naval jelly. Yeah, don't paint your modules. But wash it in primer, wait for it to dry. Thin your paints. And then you want to use the three shades method. If you don't want to buy a bunch of different shades of paint, like a dark green, a middle green, and a highlight green, or a dark red, a middle red, and a highlight red. If you don't want to do that, and it's perfectly fine if you don't, what you do is you put a blob of paint down on your palette. You paint with that base coat. After you've thinned it, I use distilled water and Reaper Reaper medium. And I get it to where it will not cling to plastic if you just wipe it up the edge of a cup, like the edge of a plastic palette. There are those little quarter sphere divots out. Just if you can wipe it up and it's like skim milk, it's like the consistency of skim milk, that's what you want. But you paint with that darkest shade. Next step, wash it with black or brown or an ink of the color that you're putting down. Like if you have green ink, put it down on your green paint. Let it dry. Do a highlight layer of the middle of that shade. Let's go back to green. Use your middle green shade. And again, if you're only using one shade, what you do is you do 50-50 white and the color you're painting, and you've got the middle highlight. Then, after you've highlighted with that, you do another set of highlights with the lightest shade, which is the middle shade, 50-50 mixed with white again. So it's even lighter. Now, the easiest way to highlight at that point is to dry brush. Dry brush covers a great many sins. That's the basics of it. It'll make more sense if I show it to you guys. But I'm not going to do that tonight. But that's the basic of how I do it. But anyway, so tomorrow night, speaking of miniatures, we're going to be playing some first edition AD&D, D and Disability, is going to be there. Doomsword Deathmaster. Graph Paper Architect is going to be there. Kevin will be playing with us. We've got a good group, and I'm really looking forward to everybody being at the table. I'm excited about that, and I hope you guys are too. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And we might just have a little Dwarven Forge and miniatures out on the table. We might just have that. I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. Wednesday night, Kyle with no miniatures and D&D Hex Crawl. Looking forward to that too. Thursday night is open. Who knows what we'll do Thursday night? Maybe I'll find somebody to be a guest. Maybe I won't. We'll have to see. Friday night, we are back playing Gamma World. We just rebooted our Gamma World campaign. So if you haven't seen it before, now's the time to get in. We just started a character group off at first level, and we're playing Albuquerque Starport. So I hope you guys will be wanting to tune in for that. And that's going to do it. Have I ever used chainmail? I have not. Six gun. I have not. Oh, you're quite welcome, Wheeling Dragon. The deck of many scans. Did I not send them to you? I thought I had sent them to you. I could have sworn that I did them. I'll get back to you on that, Jack. Send me a reminder email. Anyway, everyone, thank you all for being here tonight. Love you all to pieces. Remember, your criticism is valid. Never back down off of that. I love you guys all. Have an absolutely wonderful evening. And on your way home, please, please, please be careful and beware of the owl bears. Peace.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.